The views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speakers and do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of any entities they represent, including Olas Media.
Olas Media.
Welcome, everybody, again to another dynamic, inspirational, informative episode of Cannabis Enlightened. I am your host, Dr. Brady. And today we have two very interesting gentlemen with us. Two gentlemen that I've been trying to get on the program for a long time. So whatever you're doing, stop it and listen to this program because you're going to hear history in the making and history that has a long, what should I say, gentlemen?
Tail?
A long tail, he says.
No, that's not
a long tail.
That's not a pretty word.
A long story.
Yeah.
That brings together, interestingly enough, music and cannabis.
True
all right?
that. True that, Dr. Leroy.
Okay, so I'm going to have them introduce themselves to you and talk a little bit about who they are and what they do and I want you guys to talk about your musical background too. Okay,
Well, we're gonna.
Don't leave that.
That's what we're going to talk about mostly.
Oh, mostly.
We'll get to cannabis because that's your gig, but we're going to talk about who we really are.
Okay,
Which is we're the two co-founders of Amoeba Music.
That's Dave trying to take over my program right now, but
You wanted me on the show. I didn't ask for this. All right? Did I?
Well, no, you didn't.
Did I come begging to you?
No, you didn't. But
Doc?
you did say to me, you were hanging onto my leg saying, I want to be on the program. I got to be on
Well,
Cannabis
here we
Enlightened.
are. I made it. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, let's start off. Dave, would you introduce yourself to our listening audience?
Yeah, I'm Dave Prinz. I'm one of the founders, one of the co-founders. I'm here with my fellow co-founder, Marc Weinstein. I'm Dave Prinz, and we're the two people who started Amoeba Music back in Berkeley in 1990.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is, maybe I should get with Marc before I ask you, what is Amoeba Records?
Well, you can talk to Marc.
Okay, I can talk to Marc
It's
now.
Amoeba
Marc,
Music.
Should I introduce myself too?
that would be nice.
I'm Marc Weinstein. I'm Dave's partner. We're co-founders of Amoeba Music. And Dave and I were both very into opening a record store once upon a time. There's a whole story there. But the one bit I will tell is that I was already managing a little record store in San Francisco, and Dave lived in the neighborhood, and he loved music, and we talked a lot about music and did a lot of back and forth. Mm-hmm. But he also loved cannabis like I did. And so way back when we started, we had this mutual love for cannabis. And I'll mention that now, even though the cannabis part of our story comes way later. In those days, we would just sort of meet up at the store, do some wheeling and dealing, and then we'd go out and we'd smoke a little Hawaiian because Dave had access. So that was like our big thing, was like our connection in the very first place, me and Dave, was over cannabis.
Well, that's true.
As much as music. So in terms of the full circle of our story, that was a really important part of how we became Amoeba in the first place.
That's how Amoeba was started.
Okay, but you guys are musicians too now, right?
Yeah.
What do you play?
I play guitar and Marc plays drums.
I'm a drummer.
Okay. And you still play?
I play.
Yeah, I play all the time.
Marc's a
I still gig.
You still gig?
Yeah.
Okay.
I had a great gig last Sunday, in fact, with the original keyboard and horn player with the Mothers of Invention, who both of whom are they're 90.
Okay.
Wow.
And we warmed up for them at this beautiful venue in L.A.
Wow.
last Sunday. Yeah.
Wow. So what kind of music do you guys play then? I mean, I get
I'm more
an
of a
idea.
jazz and creative weirdo, and Dave is a...
I'm into Django. That's what
Django.
Django
Yeah.
Reinhardt.
Okay, break down Django for me.
Django's the best acoustic guitar players ever lived.
Okay.
And
Yeah.
I strive to be like him. I'm not, but I strive to be like him.
Yeah.
Okay.
If I could play 1/10 as good as him, I would die happy. Okay?
He probably is pretty good, right, Marc? I mean,
Oh, he's
Dave-
great. Yeah, and he has,
Okay.
he practices a lot, but what he is talking about, what he strives for, is something that
Is
can only be
unachievable.
achieved by a genius like Django Reinhardt himself.
Okay.
Who, if you don't know who he was a Hot Club of France, amazing jazz guitar player from the 20s through
From the 20s through the
50s.
50s, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
But he
Right.
died very young at the age of 42.
Oh, my.
Very sad. But to me, he's one of the two great guitar players of all time, him and Jimi Hendrix.
Jimi Hendrix. I know Jimi Hendrix. I go
Hendrix.
back to maybe George Benson. That's all I can
Great
do.
player. Right, West Montgomery.
West Montgomery
Great
was
player.
before George Benson.
Yes,
Okay,
yes.
yeah.
Great
West
player.
Montgomery, very good.
Oh, really good.
Yeah.
You know, so you're as good as those guys.
No, I'm not. No, nobody is. That's why we're saying their names now.
Okay,
Because, nobody's as good as West Montgomery.
okay.
You know?
We both like to meditate with cannabis and music. It's
I
something we
see.
both love doing.
Okay.
And if it's either playing, practicing, jamming, or listening, whatever it is, we know that cannabis enhances that experience, at least for us.
Okay.
And it's always been a part of our world. So.
Well, before I get into that, how big is your music or your record collection business? How big is that
You mean
Our store?
store? Yeah.
Oh, well, we have 3 stores. The first store was in Berkeley, and that's about 7,500 square feet. That store.
That's a big store.
It's pretty big.
It's our baby
but
store.
That's the baby store.
Oh,
And
my.
The second store was San Francisco, which opened in '97, and that's about 24,000 square feet.
Oh my!
And that was the biggest record store in the world until we built the LA store.
In the world.
Yes,
Yes.
it was. Yes, it
Okay.
was. It was, and the only new and used record store in the world ever to become close to that size. There were new stores that were in the 15 to 20,000 foot range, but
Right.
nothing as big as that. And then it was. For new and used, there was nothing like it. It was a new concept.
So were you guys bigger than Tower?
Yes,
Yes, way bigger.
Way bigger, he said.
Square footage? Yes.
bigger than Tower, and we used to gross more than Tower. And
Yeah.
Tower used to talk about us in their meetings. We weren't there, of course, but we've heard rumors.
You had spies.
Well, it wasn't so much.
We know a lot of people.
It's like I think Russ Solomon told somebody that we know this. That the guys at Amoeba. We talk about them a lot. We try to. They're the new edge in the industry. But Tower never could do what we did because they didn't ever want to get into used.
Well, Tower's gone now.
They are
correct.
long gone.
So why are you guys still in existence and Tower's gone?
We wanted to create an ultimate destination for all record buyers. So we just have everything, new and used, all formats. And so we're a place that anyone who's a record geek or just looking for music can go and almost certainly find what they want.
Okay, so we know the name. Can you give us a location? Where's the LA store located?
It's in Hollywood. It's on Hollywood.
Hollywood and Argyle in
Hollywood,
downtown
right
Hollywood.
across from the Pantages Theater.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. Do you guys visit that store very often?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we're there.
So if I come to that store, you guys will greet me and say, "Welcome in, Dr.
If
Leroy."
we were there, we'd be so happy to see you.
Yeah.
All right. I'm not saying we're going to be there, but if we were there, you're in.
We're
All
there
right?
often,
We'll show you. But
Okay.
We have partners. If you ever want to see the store,
Sure,
and we're not
yeah.
there. Our partners would be very happy. to
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll let you know. So
Okay.
where's the next store then? From LA, we go
show you.
where?
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
In the
Haight
Haight
Ashbury.
Ooh.
And spooky, I know, but
Mm-hmm.
because it's people have a vision of the Haight that it's a little run down, but it's actually not. It's actually pretty strong now, and people are digging it.
Okay.
The Haight's come back, and it's really a nice neighborhood.
One of the great retail strips anywhere, really.
Okay.
It's cool. The Haight remains way cool.
Way
And
cool.
we remain the coolest store on that street.
Okay, so then the last store is in Berkeley.
And that was
That
the
was
first store.
the first.
Of the first store.
The first store is in Berkeley on Telegraph near the UC Berkeley campus.
Okay, I was just going to ask you if you could
Yeah.
give the listening audience a little context of where it is located.
That's like I said, it's on Telegraph Avenue near UC Berkeley, about 3 blocks from the campus.
Okay.
And that's our first store. And like Marc said, that store was created because we enjoyed smoking Hawaiian pot together, which I used to bring back from Hawaii in my sock
Yeah.
Oh my.
back in the day.
Okay.
All right.
All
I used
right.
to stuff my socks with Hawaiian pot. That was before they made you take your shoes off,
I want the listening audience to know that he just went to his sock to show us.
That's where I used to put it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
when Marc-
Okay.
He doesn't keep it there anymore, luckily.
No,
Thank
no.
you.
No, the times have changed, but
Okay.
but there's
Okay.
nothing like Hawaiian pot.
So maybe one final question about the music. Maybe not final, but before we move more into cannabis, what kind of music would a person be able to find at your stores? I mean, how old?
Honestly, we have everything, and that's
Top to bottom.
That's why people want you can find something you've been looking for your whole life, and people do, and that's the greatest thing about being in that business.
Okay.
Is it makes people so happy.
Okay.
When they find, you can go to amoeba.com and look at what's in my bag segments, and there'll be people, musicians and actors. Ethan Hawke did a cool segment. What's his name? Michael Shannon did a great segment. Mike, the actor. There's all sorts of great musicians have done segments, and they talk about what they find in our store and what it means to them.
Right.
We sell 78s, for example.
78.
Yeah, I mean, no stores.
8 tracks,
Yeah.
cassettes.
8-track.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, my.
45s. We sell everything, and there's a market for everything. People want different things.
How do people play that music?
I have a 78 player in Hawaii that would blow your mind. If
Get
you're
out,
you're
really?
in Maui, you can come visit me and I'll play you stuff you won't believe.
I'm going to do that. Probably
Seriously.
not this year, but next year.
I mean it.
23, I'm coming.
I mean it.
Better than you can imagine.
You've never heard anything like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
78s are the best reproduction of music possible.
Okay.
If you have the right player. I like an old Wurlitzer that's been sort of souped up, like sort of revamped.
Okay.
And you never heard anything like it.
Okay.
It's amazing.
So now, you told me a couple of times that you guys really loved getting together, playing music, and smoking Hawaiian
Yes.
cannabis. Okay. So is that part of the way you got into the cannabis industry?
Well, not really. We
I
already.
mean, it was in our hearts, but it wasn't, yeah.
Right.
We were in a situation where Berkeley had announced they were going to allow a few more people to get permits.
Okay.
And we're also looking to support our store in Berkeley, our record store in Berkeley, and had an opportunity to do that right next door, literally. So we took advantage of the opportunity to put a cannabis shop right next to Amoeba, and hoping to support the store, but also just create another great venue on Telegraph Avenue. Because Telegraph Avenue, for those who haven't been there, historically, I mean, you could buy weed on Telegraph for decades, long before it was ever legal. And it was also about 10 head shops and poster stores and a lot of things that you would associate with
stores.
and record stores. We had as many as 12 record stores when Amoeba opened.
Wow.
And gradually that dwindled. But it's historically the strip, not unlike Haight-Ashbury in the East Bay of San Francisco Bay Area. And so it was Record Row, and that's why we located Amoeba there. And in the long run, why it made so much sense for us to try to get this permit to open a store on Telegraph.
So was that hard or easy to get a permit to sell the?
4 years.
They're laughing at me.
There's nothing, and I mean nothing, in Berkeley that's easy. All right?
Okay.
They're just impossible.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
And I don't care if they hear me. All right.
Well, they kind of will,
I don't
Dave.
care. It's impossible there. Okay. It took us 5 years to get that.
Because of the politics.
Yeah.
Right.
And all the special interest groups and the camp, the university, and it's really hard.
That's really good for people to hear.
It's
Because there are a lot of the listening audience that think that getting a license is a piece of cake.
It's really hard.
4.5 years plus, like Dave said, almost 5 years.
Tons
And
of
with,
council meetings, tons of public
community
hearings.
meetings, letter writing campaigns, all kinds of graphics that we had to show at all these different meetings with a commission for cannabis in Berkeley, the city council, the mayor's office. We had personal meetings with the mayor. We did everything we possibly could to be one of the few people to be awarded a permit, and it did take 4.5 years. And lucky us, we got our permit pretty much just when cannabis became legal officially.
That's right.
So that was in 2015, 2016,
I think the store opened in 2018.
2018.
That's
Yeah.
when we opened. We got the
Okay, but you got the license
before
before that.
Yeah.
All right. Talk to me about what kind of expense, what kind of money you put out from the beginning to the time the store opened.
Well, we had to pay rent on the space.
Okay.
Right.
And nothing was happening.
Right.
Well, we actually had Amoeba was in that space.
Okay.
So we were able to keep Amoeba in there. We didn't need as much space as we had needed in the past. We decided to shrink Amoeba down and use that space for the dispensary.
Okay.
Amoeba was able to stay in there, until maybe a year before we started.
But for Amoeba, though, it would have been an empty space you're
Right.
paying rent on.
That's right. for
Okay.
Sure. Yeah.
So essentially, we were paying rent on an empty space. Like anyone who would try to get into this business,
but
you
we had the
basically
advantage.
have to pay rent until you can open.
But we did have the advantage that the store could stay in until we
Right.
got a building permit.
And
Right.
truthfully, gentlemen, a lot of people don't know that.
Oh,
they
sure.
they feel like, okay, I'll get my license and then I'll get a location.
That doesn't work.
Or if I get a location, the next day I'll get a license,
Right.
Right.
and everything will work out really well.
It's complicated.
You know?
Oh, yeah.
It's far more complicated. This business, everybody, they think it's easy, and they think it's easy money. It's the opposite. The record business is a lot easier than this.
Okay.
Okay, we don't have the onerous rules, regulations, and taxes. Can I just say something about the taxes in this business? Are you interested?
Say it.
Can I say it?
Say it loud.
Okay, I'm going to tell you guys a story.
Okay.
Okay.
Do it.
You guys, I'm sure have all heard of Al Capone. Everybody's heard of Al Capone. He's a famous gangster.
Exactly.
Probably the most famous gangster ever, I'd say. And the feds wanted to put Al Capone away, but they could not.
It's
They
true.
couldn't figure out they couldn't get him. And they finally figured, we're going to get Al Capone for not paying his taxes. And that's our plan. And they put the best forensic accountants on Al Capone's tail, and they tried very hard to convict him of tax evasion. And they said to Al Capone, Mr. Capone, you haven't filed tax returns in the last 12 years. What's up with that? He goes, well, I haven't made any profit. And they go, oh, really? He goes, yes. He goes, I don't believe in the Volstead Act. I'm a libertarian. The Volstead Act, of course, being prohibition.
Right.
I'm a libertarian. And as long as I keep people employed and families fed, I don't care if I break even. I have, I'm okay with that. Of course, that wasn't true, but it kind of sounded good,
Yeah.
And they still couldn't get him, okay? But they finally did get Al Capone on tax evasion. But when they got Al Capone on tax evasion, they let Al Capone deduct rent, and they let Al Capone deduct payroll, and they let Al Capone deduct benefits, and they let Al Capone deduct utilities.
Right.
They don't let us do that. They treat us worse than Al freaking Capone.
And why is that?
It's because of Prop 280E, which is this tax law that came in during the Reagan years, put in by Nancy Reagan, that basically lets drug dealers deduct any cost of goods but nothing else. And we're considered drug dealers by the federal government. And because of that, most dispensaries, even if they're profitable, can't make any money. All right? That's the problem. And most dispensaries are hurting really bad because of that. And in California, a lot of dispensaries are in distress and aren't going to make it. Even though this industry seems easy, it's anything but.
A lot of people from the outside look at it and they say, oh, this is easy. You guys are floating in money.
Oh, yeah.
You're just making money hand over fist.
I'll give you an example. Last quarter, we made $150,000 profit. We owed $270 in taxes. What business do you owe more in taxes than you make in profit? Okay, you tell me a business.
That's incredible.
Okay,
That's incredible.
And we're good at the taxes. If we weren't good at it, we would have owed $100,000 more.
And you'd be in jail right now.
Well, I'm not doing anything illegal.
Right.
I'm taking advantage of legal ways to offset some of these
Right.
onerous taxes.
Right.
I'm not. But honestly, most businesses don't have the ability to do that because we lobbied hard in Berkeley for a special license that enables you to do light manufacturing and reconfiguring on site, and you can write that off because it's cost of goods. That's legal, all right? But most businesses aren't able to do that because they don't have that license available in their municipalities.
So your margin is very sharp, very tight.
Our margin's reasonable for any other retail business but ours.
Yeah,
If you're in our business, you can make. If you're in any other business, you would make money with this margin.
right.
But in our business, it's impossible to make money with this margin because of the tax implications.
Wow.
That's the problem.
How many people do you have working in your store?
50?
Yeah, I thought it was 38 at a point, but I don't know the current number. Oh, between 40 and 50.
Maybe around between 40 and 50. I'd say
40 and 50.
Yeah.
And
Right.
you're making enough to support those employees at
Yes.
least.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
We're paying all our bills. We're paying everybody. We're paying all our vendors.
Okay.
And so we're not suffering in that way at all. But doesn't leave us with much.
Very much.
Yeah.
Well, it's
So-
a very hard industry, and unless you're vertically integrated,
Right.
it's very hard to survive.
And by vertically integrated, you mean unless you have like cultivation and
Right.
manufacturing, and
Yes.
also because
Yes.
you're at
Yes.
you're at the sales point.
Unless you have
Yeah.
at least your own
Right.
grows.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So what?
One more question.
Okay. So what? Where are you in terms of the future? What kind of future things are you looking at?
Well, we're looking at building a lounge.
Yeah, we have
Ah.
a great building right behind us for a lounge.
Okay.
So we're merging the properties and getting ready to launch that sometime, hopefully next year.
And hopefully it'll be a place that the community enjoys as a place to hang
With a
out.
music permit, hopefully.
And we'll have
Okay.
live music. And
Wow. It's
I
going
mean,
to
we just think that's the ideal location
Right.
for cannabis consumption is music and consumption it would just go so well together. I think all these defunct theaters around California should all get legalized for cannabis because watching
Right.
music and theater or film and smoking pot, what could be better?
Sounds good.
Seriously,
Yeah.
I can't think of anything. So, thank you very much, gentlemen, for spending some time
Thanks for
with
having
me.
us,
I
really.
really appreciate it. Can you give another plug for your cannabis shop up in Berkeley?
Yes, it's called High Fidelity.
High Fidelity, 2465 Telegraph Avenue, 94704. And, we have a great store, not unlike, some of this great stores. We're just seeing March and Ash for the first time, and I think it's a comparable kind of store with a huge array of products. We try to be, like with Amoeba, everything for everybody, although it's not as all-encompassing as Amoeba. It's a really comprehensive selection and nice store, yeah.
And we have great buyers. We're the only Native American buyer in California.
Wow.
His name's Chris Garcia, and he goes to all the farms. He knows all the growers. He's really into sustainable, organic product.
Yeah.
And we only carry the best
Fantastic.
that we can bring in.
So if any of my listening audience happens to be up in Berkeley, they're liable to see both of you or one of you at the store?
Around.
Sure, yeah.
All right. Fantastic. Thank you very much, gentlemen. I really appreciate the time that you spent with me here today.
Pleasure, really.
Talking about Amoeba Records and also your cannabis
Fidelity,
store,
yeah.
High Fidelity in Berkeley.
Yep,
I can't wait to see it.
Okay.
come on by.
Talking with you. So-
I will do. Thank you very much, everybody, for listening to Cannabis Enlightened. I'm your host, Dr. Leroy. And if you want to reach out to me with comments, questions, or just to say hi to me, I'm at drleroy@cannabisenlightened.com. And remember, as always, knowledge is power.